When I became a minimalist in 2008, after reading the book Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez, my whole brain basically exploded with this information. I remember doing all of the things that they had laid out in the book and saving $1,000 in 1 month. I was in graduate school when I had next to nothing. I did everything it said in the book. I remember having $1,000 and being terrified. I ended up spending that money and I stopped doing the program. My partner at the time didn't really want to do it, even though he's the one who introduced me to the book. I did start thinking about financial literacy very differently. I had never learned about financial literacy growing up. My parents were spendthrifts and mostly frugal, but still we had too much stuff and it was this constant influx in this house and chaos. And we kept having bigger houses and lifestyle creep and all of the things, we were keeping up with the Joneses. When I was 25 in 2008, I learned about Your Money or Your Life and investing ETFs, the growth of the stock market over time, and living below your means started this whole minimalism journey for me. The second book I read was called You Can Buy Happiness and It's Cheap Too, and is about a woman saved up for a couple of years at her corporate 9 to 5 job that she really hated. She bought a tiny house on wheels and ended up traveling around and writing for 2 years and living off of her savings. And it was about her adventures. And then she wrote the book. So she's writing this book and then she published the book. The book was successful and she still continued to live in her tiny house. Just her journey of getting rid of all of her stuff and how freeing it was, and how when she had the freedom of time to do what she wanted every day and wake up when she wanted and write every day and meet incredible people and be on the road. It was just this beautiful story of transformation and how less is more. And those are the first two books that got me started. Now, I have wavered back and forth. I have done a lot of cozy minimalism over the last few years with getting separated and divorced. There was so much uncertainty. I did definitely spend way too much the last couple of years. Amazon was my friend. Even in my marriage, there was a lot of unhappiness that I think I tried to solve with shopping. I've been in recovery for addiction since I was 24. So maybe I'm prone to shopping. I have craved a slow life my whole life, perhaps from my childhood, but I just wanted to make this video today to talk about that. It is a lifelong journey for me because I have fluctuated on my minimalism journey. I've gone from having very little and getting rid of maybe too much stuff to then reaccumulating, kind of not doing minimalism, ending up with a lot of stuff that's making me anxious, not being able to keep my house clean or tidy, spending too much time cleaning my house, and that driving me crazy and feeling like, why can't I live the life that I want to live? Why can't I be in the ocean every day? Why can't I exercise and keep a clean house? It was like the days were always getting away from me. And I felt like I was just constantly managing my things. And I'm back now in 2026 with a low buy year. I don't have specific parameters for what I can and cannot buy. I'm trying to keep new clothing items to around 5 a year. I can spend 50 to $100 if at the thrift store every month. I don't have a set limit. Like our toaster just broke. I replaced the toaster. I bought a couple of kids' clothes. My kids are 6 and 8, constantly growing. I'm not buying anything frivolous because I have a fun budget. With any minimalist content creator, you're going to hear their version of minimalism, and what works for somebody else may not work for you. I have had to try all the different ways over the years and learn that super ascetic minimalism is not for me, especially with kids. I can't necessarily be a nomad and just travel around, maybe when the kids are older and more autonomous. I like having my condo here in Hawaii. I did move to a place that I didn't feel the need to escape from, which I do believe in. And the thing about it is all of these different minimalists will have plenty of different versions of minimalism that for them. The thing is, they're also influencing. I have bought things specifically because other minimalists have them. And then I have discovered that that too was a misaligned purchase and something I ended up discarding. So there is no perfect way to do minimalism. It is a journey. It is a lifestyle. It is a mindset shift. It is a way to do things. I think I will always be a minimalist because I don't want to live in a consumer society that just buys, buys, buys unconsciously. I recognize that I'm being marketed to 24/7 and that it is difficult. In 2025, I got into some credit card debt renovating my Airbnb after my divorce because I didn't negotiate well enough to have enough money to get the place up and running once mortgage was due. And now I had a property that was not livable and I needed money to get it up and running. And so I did get some credit card debt and that was rough. My credit tanked. I'd always had perfect credit and just learning lessons later in life at almost 43 that I just wasn't expecting. I hope you are gentle with yourself on your journey and know that even minimalism content is influencing because we're always influenced by what we take in. I have 2 or 3 minimalist content creators that I always follow that I just adore their videos. They're like a breath of fresh air. And I know, and I pass by all the others, and there's just people who are going to be your people and the people who aren't, and that's okay. The content creators that I really love, I love people. I love Matt Diavella. I love because I love the cinematography and some of those. And I love like her 86 square meters. She's not necessarily a minimalist, but she is cottage core, very clean and tidy. She's very inspirational in the way she lives, and her filmmaking and her husband's filmmaking is immaculate. I would love to learn their ways. I love Ada Zen Life. I love Marissa. She's amazing. I follow this guy named Tim, and he just goes out into nature and talks about quitting the system and not being a part of the system and not being afraid to just hit the road and live your dreams. And I just think he's one of the greatest content creators out there. He's been doing this for like 15 years, just walking and talking. His videos might get more views if he had better editing, but I super appreciate his simple style and the content that he's saying. I listen to him probably more than anyone. If you know who I'm talking about, leave it in the comments because we're obviously on the same track. I'm an INFJ too, which I realize is a rare personality type and maybe perfect for minimalism. I also recognize that not everybody wants to be a minimalist, and that's okay too. My content will probably only be for the people who do want to. I decided to sit at a different angle today. You can see my condo, the front door, my desk, my editing stuff, my kitchen, and some of the living room. I do have 2 kids' rooms downstairs, which I probably will hopefully not show much on video. It's always difficult to get my kids to want to be minimalists. They bring stuff in all the time. And if you have kids, you know, it is one of the tougher areas. I try to lead by example and be a good model for them. And I realize that the way I live my life is really either going to be appealing or not appealing to them. We work on it, we do clean together. And I try to model good behavior for them. I'm in the midst of recommitting to less stuff because my biggest thing that I have noticed over the last 3 to 5 months is that there's such a big difference between minimalism, decluttering, tidying up, cleaning, like with cleaning products, organization. All those 4 things are very different. And I do struggle somewhat with organization and cleaning. Decluttering is very fun for me and I recognize it. That's another thing that I always want to talk about on my channel is that your level of stuff hopefully coincides with your desire to be clean because I have a very small cleaning gene. I don't like mopping, laundry, dishes, spray bottles, and surfaces, dusting, like the actual deep cleaning that needs to happen to keep a place immaculately spotless is not in me. It makes me anxious, but the amount of things that I have in my house don't allow me to have a clean house. So I realized recently that my decluttering and minimalism needs to hit a lighter level because I did cottage core chic for a really long time and cottage core minimalism. And as much as I want to be a clean cottage core lady with all the cutesy crafts and decor, I cannot physically clean it because I would rather spend more of my life outside of my home doing other things than cleaning and keeping house. Even though I am very introverted and I love to be alone at home, here I am making my videos, my favorite thing. So I need to be a little bit in more of a reality place with who I am as a person and not in fantasy self. My fantasy minimalist self. I think when I watch The Cottage Fairy and her 86 square meters, which are two of my very favorite cinematographers on YouTube, I love the aesthetic of their videos, but I personally cannot keep up with that level of in my home as much as I would love to. I think too, because both of my grandmother's homes were immaculately clean and also beautifully decorated. I feel the disconnect and the distance comparison there. But I'm not my grandmother's. I'm a single mom. I do have a partner, but I don't live the lives that they lived. I'm not constrained to my home. And I think they found joy in the places that they could and the creation in the places that they could. And it was the pride that they had in their homes, but we live in different times, thankfully. And I honor them by not doing the same things. Thank you for coming to my channel. I'm a former trauma therapist who burnt out trying to do things that were not meant for me. I finally started to figure out who I really am, and now I make content on frugalism, minimalism, financial freedom, and peace at home. Thanks for joining. Hopefully, come back, like, and subscribe if you got something from this, and I will keep making more.